Welcome students. Let's talk about today the most important chapter of Geography class 9 climate. In this chapter we have to study about the factors affecting the climate of any country, particularly in reference to India, together with the onset and withdrawal of monsoon and its mechanism. But before the study of monsoon, let's talk about first of all the latitudes of the earth. What is latitude? We all know that it's a angular distance at a point on the earth's surface north or south of the equator. 0 degree is the equator, 23.5 degree north is Tropic of Cancer, 66 degree north Arctic Circle, 23.5 degrees south Tropic of Capricorn and 66 degrees south Antarctic Circle. Just look at the right side of the globe. 0 degree to 23.5 degree north and 0 degree to 23.5 degrees south. That is equator to Tropic of Cancer and equator to Tropic of Capricorn. This region is called as the tropical zone or torrid zone. It is also called a torrid zone where the sunlight directly falls upon the earth's surface throughout the year. That's why the country in tropical zone, generally the climate in the countries lying in the tropical zone is very hot and humid. Then from Tropic of Cancer to Arctic Circle and from Tropic of Capricorn to Antarctic Circle is called as the temperate zone or subtropical zone. Particularly it is known as temperate zone. And beyond it there is a polar zone, frigid zone, where we know that the temperature is below 40 degrees Celsius, 50 degrees Celsius, 100 degrees Celsius, where everything you find in the form of snow and ice. Our country India, half part of our country, that is the southern part, lies in the tropical zone, torrid zone, and the northern part lies in the temperate zone. That's why Indian climate is subtropical. It's not completely tropical, nor completely temperate. It's subtropical. So the latitudinal position of a country, the climate of any country is determined by its latitudinal position. If a country is lying in the Tropic of Cancer, their climate is different to that of the country lying in equator or that of the Antarctic Circle. So latitude also played a very important role in determining and influencing the climate of any country. Next, let's talk about trade, westerly wind and polar wind, because it is the trade wind which influences the monsoon of our country. We all know. But first of all, let's see this the differential heating of land and water. We know that during the daytime, land heats up more quickly than that of the sea. The air above the land is warm during daytime and hence it rises and we find the formation of low pressure over the land. And on the other hand, the sea is comparatively cooler. The air above it is therefore cold and heavy. Thus, a high pressure is created over the sea. And wind generally blow from high pressure to low pressure areas. So here you see the diagram of the earth. Three types of winds are there: trade wind, westerly wind and polar wind. Trade wind blow from subtropical high pressure belt to equatorial low pressure belt. Just carefully look at this. The earth, you find the direction of the wind. Trade wind blow from subtropical high pressure belt to equatorial low pressure belt. Okay. So subtropical high pressure belt to equatorial low pressure belt, you find the northeast trade wind, and in the south you will find the southeast trade wind. Our country lies in the region of northeast trade wind, and monsoon wind is nothing but it is an extension of this trade wind. Then Wind blowing from the subtropical high pressure belt to subpolar low pressure belt is called as westerly wind, and the wind blowing from high pressure belt, subpolar high pressure belt to subpolar low pressure belt, that is known as polar wind. So the wind blowing in a specific direction from one belt to another, these winds are called as periodic winds, and they are trade wind, westerly wind, and that of polar wind. And if you see the equatorial low pressure belt, that is also known as doldrum, so that part of the equatorial low pressure belt where northeastern trade wind and southeast trade wind meets at a point, that point is known as intertropical zone of convergence. And during summer season, that intertropical zone of convergence shift towards India, started shifting towards Tropic of Cancer, and where the intertropical zone of convergence shift, that is followed by the trade wind. So during summer season, the intertropical zone of convergence shift towards the Tropic of Cancer, and this is followed by the trade wind, and this trade wind brings rainfall in India and its neighboring countries. Now, what is the difference between weather and climate? It's an important topic, and we all know that weather refers to the state of the atmosphere over a short period of time, and climate refers to all weather conditions for a given location over a long period of time. So basically there are three differences between climate and weather. Weather describes the atmospheric conditions for a short period of time. Climate describes the atmospheric condition over a long period of time. Weather descriptions cover a smaller area. Climate description covers a larger area. Weather data is obtained through direct observation, or by the use of instrument we can obtain the data of weather, but climate data is based on calculated averages of data recorded over a period of 35 years. It's very difficult to get the data of climate. So what are the factors affecting the climate? Latitudes, we all know, farther away from the equator, the colder the climate becomes. If your country is lying in the polar region or temperate region, you will experience very severe winter and less humid climate. But if your country is lying in the equatorial regions, in the tropical region, you will experience very hot weather seasons. Then altitudes also, as we go from surface of the earth to higher elevations, atmospheric temperature started decreasing. Then pressure and wind system also greatly affect the climate. Distance from the sea, if you are living near the sea, your region will have the equable climate. That is, summer will not be too hot, winter will not be too cold. But if your region is far away from the sea, you will experience continentality. Continentality means your region will having the extreme climate where summer will be too hot and winter will be too cold. So distance from the sea also influences the climate of any region. Then cold and warm ocean currents are also there. Ocean currents can either warm up a region or cool down a region depending on their source. Then mountains are also played a very important role. Wind hit the mountain and goes upward and brings rainfall. In the windward side, see the diagram, and behind the mountains you will find the leeward sides which remains dry. So height and aspects of the relief influence climate of a region. Mountain act as a climatic barrier. Because of the mountain, one region gets rainfall, other region becomes dry. If your region is lying in the windward side of the mountain, you will experience heavy rainfall, and if your region is lying in the leeward side of the mountain, so your region will be dry. Okay. In our country, Himalaya act as a great climatic barrier. Monsoon winds, when they proceed towards India, they hit the Himalayan mountains and get back to India. again and brings rainfall. If there would have been no Himalayas, the intensity of the rainfall would have been very less in our country. The Himalaya plays a very important role in bringing rainfall during monsoon season in our country. Pressure and winds. Okay, temperature in northwestern plains are very high, therefore low pressure conditions are powerful enough to attract the trade winds of southern hemisphere. Low pressure and high pressure, we all know that formation takes place during daytime. Low pressure creates in the land and high pressure in the sea. A wind blows from high pressure to low pressure. If there is no variation in the pressure of the region, we do not find the blowing of wind. Okay, and at night time we find the high pressure develop in the land areas and low pressure in the ocean. So wind blow from land to sea, which is known as land breeze. Okay, the pressure and winds. It is during the summer season we find the low pressure area created in India, in Indian subcontinental regions, and this attracted the monsoon wind towards India from the high pressure areas. See the Indian monsoon. The climate of India is strongly influenced by monsoon winds. And during the differential heating of land and sea take place during summer season, land gets heated very fast. Therefore, the formation of low pressure take place. And in sea, we find the creation of high pressure. Then intertropical zone of convergence shift towards India, towards Tropic of Cancer, which attracted the trade winds towards India also. And when the trade wind, the southeast trade wind crosses the equator, due to Coriolis force, it shifted towards India and become southwest monsoon. And that southwest monsoon hit Indian peninsular regions and started bringing rainfall. Then at the same time we find the presence of a very high pressure to the east of Madagascar, which boosts the monsoon winds. Then Tibetan plateau gets heated during summer, which results in a strong vertical air currents, and this also greatly boosts the monsoon winds in India by forming low pressure over the plateau regions. Then westerly jet stream shift to the north of Himalayas during summer season, and easterly jet streams started blowing over the Indian peninsula in summer, and along with monsoon wind it also started bringing rainfall. So the change in the pressure conditions is very important and it influences the climate of any region. See the diagram, how the trade wind hits India, and because of the triangular structure of India, that trade wind, monsoon winds get bifurcated into two groups. One in the Arabian Sea started bringing rainfall in the Arabian Sea region, and other shift towards the Bay of Bengal, and that Bay of Bengal branch of monsoon winds, they hit the Himalayan regions and brings rainfall in the plain areas of India. Okay. So the monsoon, unlike the trades, are not steady winds, but they are pulsating in nature, affected by different atmospheric conditions encountered by it. The duration of the monsoon is between 100 to 120 days from early June to mid-September. Around the time of its arrival, this is known as the burst of the monsoon and can be distinguished from the pre-monsoon showers. Then withdrawal of monsoon begins in northwestern states by early September. It withdraws completely from the northern half of peninsula till mid-October, and it withdraws from southern part rapidly. By early December, withdrawal is completed. Okay, so you should know the 5 important changes that take place just before the arrival of monsoon in India. First is the differential heating of land and water. Second, shifting of intertropical zone of convergence. Then the formation of high pressure to the east of Madagascar. Then heating up of Tibetan plateau, leading to the formation of vertical air current, which greatly helps the monsoon wind to bring rainfall in India. And the westerly jet stream shift to the north of Himalayas, and easterly jet stream started flowing over the Indian peninsula. So this is the mechanism of monsoon in our country, and this monsoon is playing a very important role in the agricultural production of our country. Without monsoon, we could not expect the development of agriculture in our country. So this monsoon is, by developing agriculture, by helping in producing crops, they are subsisting the people of India.
Indian monsoon. In this module, you will understand the concept of Indian monsoon, explain the factors that determine the typicality of Indian monsoon, and also explain the role of monsoon in Indian economy. Monsoon. Indian monsoon. To the poets, it is magical. It is dramatic. In fact, it really is dramatic. Let us see what a monsoon is. Monsoon is a periodic seasonal wind that comes from sea to land in a particular season and completely reverses back with the change in the atmospheric conditions in the next season. It is a typical yet dominant feature of the Indian climate. The term monsoon is derived from an Arabic word mausim, which means season. In olden days, the sailors found this wind convenient to set in their sails on the direction of the wind. They used to save their fuel and time by doing so. Let us discuss the causes of this seasonal reversal of wind from sea to land and land to sea. The main cause is the differential heating and cooling of land and its surrounding water bodies, that is, seas and oceans. During summer, land is hotter, and thus low pressure develops over interior parts of the large Indian landmass. Simultaneously, high pressure condition develops over the seas and oceans surrounding India. Thus, a steady flow of moisture-laden wind moves towards India and causes rainfall for almost 3 months. As the pressure system reverses due to apparent shifting of the sun from the Tropic of Cancer to the equator, the wind also reverses back to the same direction from where it comes. There is another interesting fact that the apparent movement of the sun from the Tropic of Cancer in June to the Tropic of Capricorn in December affects the global climate. The pressure belts and the wind systems change globally. The maximum effect can be noticed on the equatorial belt. Here, the northeast and southeast trade winds converge, and thus it is also called as the Intertropical Convergence Zone, or ITCZ. So, due to the apparent movement of the sun, this ITCZ shifts 5 degrees north during summer and 5 degrees south during winter. The ITCZ is pushed further north till the Ganga Basin due to the differential heating and cooling of the Indian landmass and its surrounding water bodies during the monsoon season. We call it as a monsoon trough. The intense low-pressure system formed over the Tibetan Plateau attracts air from the intense high-pressure system that develops over Indian Ocean near Madagascar island of Africa. This causes a strong pull of moisture-laden air mass from ocean to the landmass of India. While the shifting of the ITCZ, the pressure system reverses, causing the reversal of wind. Around the same time, the movement of upper air circulation, or the jet streams, also affects the summer and winter monsoons of India. The global climatic events of changing pressure system over oceans have tremendous effect on the arrival, duration, amount, and retreat of monsoon in India. The equatorial belt or the tropical region of the Pacific and Indian Oceans faces the maximum effects. Usually, the situation is like when the southeastern Pacific has low pressure and high temperature. The eastern Indian Ocean has high pressure and low temperature. But the situation reverses roughly in 3 to 8 years. This reversal of temperature and pressure condition across the ocean is called as southern oscillation. Due to vast uninterrupted ocean in the southern hemisphere, the conditions are felt more than in the northern hemisphere. The normal condition brings moderate to good monsoon, whereas the reverse condition brings drought and famine to the Asian region. El Nino and La Nina are the two opposite ends of the southern oscillation or SO cycle. El Nino is the warm phase of southern oscillation, and La Nina is the cold phase of southern oscillation. These deviations from normal surface temperatures can have large-scale impacts not only on ocean processes, but also on global weather and climate. This climatic event is also known as ENSO. El means El Nino and So means Southern Oscillation. During El Nino, the monsoon will be weaker and comes late in India as summer is cooler and the surrounding sea and ocean temperature remain warmer than the usual. The Peruvian cold current is replaced by a warm current. Therefore, the pull of air from the landmass would be weak. The La Nina is good for monsoon condition as the temperature over the sea remains cooler and pressure difference between land and sea is very high. So the pulling of air mass from sea to land is very intense. El Nino and La Nina events occur on average every 2 to 7 years. The arrival of the monsoon rain in India is the most satisfying and joyous moment for the people of India. This is more because India is an agricultural country and the economic growth of each year depends on the amount and duration of monsoon rain. Delays and long breaks in monsoon rain are dangerous for the basic occupations such as farming, fishing, and forestry. This is because chances of drought and famine increase. On the other hand, a long spell of heavy rain may damage standing crops with the increased threats of flood. The secondary sector of the economy, like the agro-based industry, also depends on monsoon, as the supply of their raw material is governed by a good spell of rain. The market will remain steady with a good monsoon year with stable price of food products, whereas a bad monsoon season will cause inflation, food insecurity, and public unrest. Monsoon is a unifying bond of the nature and lifestyle of India. The rivers and ponds rejuvenate with rainwater. The soil and underground water table gets support to hold moisture and water, and the parched plant and animal kingdoms become lively with the monsoon shower. The green nature of monsoon-fed India has inspired poets and artists to create rich poetry and paintings that add to our rich cultural heritage. Let's recap. Monsoon is a periodic seasonal wind. It blows from sea to land in one season and reverses back in the next season. The term monsoon is derived from an Arabic word mausim, which means season. The main cause is the differential heating and cooling of land and its surrounding water bodies, that is, seas and oceans. The reversal of temperature and pressure condition across the ocean is called as southern oscillation. El Nino and La Nina are the two opposite ends of the southern oscillation. El Nino is the warm phase and La Nina is the cold phase. India is an agricultural country and the economic growth of each year depends on the amount and duration of monsoon rain. Delays and long breaks in monsoon rain increase the chance of drought and famine. On the other hand, a long spell of heavy rain increases the threats of flood. Monsoon is a unifying bond of the nature and lifestyle of India.